I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shoot tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas.
Hello everyone, Uncle Charles Walhingford back with another video, and a lot of times I make these videos about marriage and everything else. Even when I do my other videos and other genre, I like to write videos out. And this one I'm just gonna go off the cuff, but this is a subject that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I wanted to make sure I set some time out to make these videos. I actually have some time, which is nice. My studio B, also studio basement, has gone through some unfortunate damage. I have water damage that I fixed, that I could afford to fix, but I can't afford to get it all fixed all at one time. That's the way life is. Life is crazy like that. So my once finished basement is now a unfinished basement again. Anyway, let's talk about the best time to get married. When is the best time to get married? A lot of people think, getting married too early is wrong. Getting married in your teens is wrong. Early 20s is wrong. People think that getting married in your mid-30s may be the best time, or maybe getting married, the man is a little bit older, maybe he's in his late 30s, early 40s. People try to figure out when is the best time. I'm going to tell you, for me, I would tell you from my experience, from what I've seen with people and everything else, and then of course some science thrown in there. I'm a big proponent of the Ikea marriage. So what is that time frame? That time frame is pretty much right after college, more around 24. That's the perfect time for both of you. 24. Now, if you get off a little bit, a year here, a year there, that's exactly, you're not directly on the bullseye, and that's not perfect, but that's what we can only hope for, is go for near perfection. So 24 is that age that time frame, and a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people who are younger will never tell you that. They would never tell you that, and all those people aren't happily married people. That's the thing. A lot of guys who are on these red pill, Manosphere, and all that, they would never tell you that time frame, that age group. They will, especially for the men, they would tell you want to be in your mid to late 30s. Now I'm going to go over why I'm definitely against that and what's the purpose behind that. All right, so the first thing that's behind that, and it's talked about before with Kevin Samuels, he calls it the Ikea marriage, where you both don't have anything. They tell you, these people in these groups or these YouTube channels, they tell you you need to have this, you need to have that before you get married. You got to have this already put together before you get married and everything like this. You can't afford to have a woman if this, that, and the other. They're terribly unrealistic. Now, my life and the life of people like me isn't the usual, but the reason why it's not the usual, because a lot of people aren't realistic. Women aren't realistic for what they look for in men, and by putting their career so far forward, they throw away good men, good opportunities, and then young men only believe they're only good for their money. That's all you're good for. It's not the case. The reason why you want to have a marriage at that age, usually you guys don't have anything. When you don't have anything, it's all about how much you guys like each other. You love each other more so. How much you just love each other. Now, one of the things people say about young people is like, oh, you don't know what love is yet. You don't know what love is yet. I completely disagree with anybody who says that, and it's always some old decrepit person who just wants to feel better about their age at that time. They don't like being that age. That's what it is. They don't like the age that they're in. That's why they tell you that. No, you can understand love at a very early age. When I had my first love at 16 to 18, when I was in high school, my first love from 16 to 18, I loved her. I absolutely loved her. But what I really want to get at is if you can spend poor times, times where you guys don't have much, times where the man is not worth a lot, but it's the relationship is just right, and you can be in a most simple, basic situation, and you love every day. Every time you wake up, you love it, being next to her. You don't need to have a lot. So let's talk about the money issue, because a lot of times people say, oh, you can't afford to get married that early, because what's going to happen? You're going to possibly have kids. You're possibly going to have kids. Well, that's true. Definitely, I would suggest if you're going to get married rather early, anywhere from say 18 to 24, 25, you hold off on kids. If you get married at 24, 25, maybe 27, hold off just a little tiny bit, not as long as if you were younger, just out of maturity. However, I again suggest that getting married at the age of 24, having an Ikea marriage where you guys are just you two and everything else, you get to know each other. So yeah, I would tell people, hold off on having kids. But the other part is, you never can really afford to have kids. You're kind of really never ready. You're kind of never ready. Do you have it in you? Do you have the vigor and the strength to do it? That's the question. That's the absolute question. And to go along with that, if you do get pregnant, get your wife pregnant, your wife gets pregnant, it is better to have an infant. And see, a lot of these guys tell these young men, you people out there, don't get married so early. They usually don't have kids. And they don't understand that having an infant in your late 30s, early 40s is hell. It's absolute hell. Getting married in around 24 is a good time for your body, especially for the wife's body. Her body is going to go through some hell, go through some shit. It wasn't very long ago where women actually died in childbirth, or they died after childbirth, or a child died in childbirth. Wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. It was in the 1900s where that finally slowed down. And if a woman is too old, especially if she's having her first, because it makes a difference if a woman is 35 and has a child and she's pregnant and this is her third child. It's a big difference between a woman having her first child and she's 35. It's a big difference. So you might want to think about that too. And then again, let's talk about kids. How many do you want to have? The reality of how many you want to have. If you have two, how far do you want to space them out for it to be reality? A good gap in time is about 2 years, enough for that woman to be able to bounce back from the trials and tribulations of just being pregnant and breastfeeding and all the other things that occur when you have the real serious, because you can even call it an injury of having a baby. So I would say 2 years is enough time, and I would say maybe 5 years is a little bit pushing it too much. And again, these are all targets, but you should think about these targets. Getting married at 24, waiting till you're 27, having a kid, then maybe have your second one at 29, things like that. That kind of stuff will pay off really well. Let me talk about another reason why you want to get married young. You want to get married young because of the whole concept of family. You will be aging out your parents. You'll be aging out your parents if you wait too long to get married and have kids. Your parents will help you raise your kids if they're young enough. It will come to a point, and you hope that it doesn't come too early. It will come to a point, and people don't talk about this. The Manosphere does not talk about this. Red Pill does not talk about this. It will come to a point where your parents will be too old to be in charge of your kids by themselves. If they're older, maybe they're preteens or something like that, they can be a little bit older and it's okay. But it was a time where I had to make a decision. I was like, okay. And my mom's still relatively young right now, but far as being able to really pay attention to watch a young little boy, especially, because little boys can be rambunctious, me and my wife had to make the decision that my mom was too old to watch my youngest son. She aged out of being able to watch my youngest son at a certain age. And it depends on how old your parents are, but you got to understand, like I said before, having a infant in your 40s, that's your infant at a 40, that's absolutely, it will suck. It absolutely will suck. Having your parents watch your kids, or how much older are your parents? Do you want a 65-year-old watching a 2-year-old? You probably don't. You may want a 50-something-year-old watching your 2-year-old. And the only time a 50-something-year-old will watch a 2-year-old if it's theirs, because it's rough. It is absolutely rough. But those are the things you got to think about. And people are not trying to lead young people in the right direction. They tell you you need to make this much money and you need to do this, but they completely leave out the rearing of kids. And the rearing of kids is the whole purpose of this, to put better people out in society, that you make somebody better than you, make society better that way. That's the point of it. All right, guys, that's it for this video for now. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one. And Uncle Charles Walhingford is here to help.